The Jason Taumalolo of now. Like when
Yeah.
Jason Taumalolo did it, he was the best player in the world. He was the highest paid player in the world, and he chose Tonga. So this is sort of like the Samoan moment where the best player in the world, or arguably the best player in the world, has chosen to serve Samoa. And that's massive, bro. You know, it's like he's gone beyond the ice wall. You know, he's broken through the firmament. You know, of all the mainstream shit. You know, play for Australia, serve the whiteness.
Yeah.
It's really cool, man. You know, it takes an extraordinary person to, you know, to go beyond the money. You know, the money is what we're always taught and conditioned to go for, and you know, he can obviously easily make a paycheck, but you know, it's good. There's something more that he wants in life.
Yeah.
You know, and of course, you know, to people who have only represented Australia or have only done things for the money, this will seem unfathomable. You know, like it's beyond their comprehension. You know, how could he do this? Because they've never done anything unless it's mainstream or unless it's wide or unless it's for the money. So it's good. And of course we've seen all the others do it.
Yeah.
You know, and now it's like his turn, but no, that's cool, bro.
Yeah, there's been a big push. I believe this is happening from the members of the Toa Samoa team, which is Crichton and Luai, like To'o as well, like prominent players that have kind of maybe seeded this, because they've played with the same team, New South Wales, right? So there'll be kind of conversations, but I know that he would have taken this upon himself to do, but this has been a talking point for the good part of 2 years, whether he's going to come to Toa Samoa or not.
Yeah. Yes, and I don't think there needed to be a conversation. I know, like, Malmaniga came out just recently today saying that Luai and Crichton coerced. He used the word coerce, must have coerced him. And I don't even see it like that. Like, maybe there were chats or whatever, but the success of Toa Samoa happened a while ago. You know, that would have been implanted in their minds. But also even way before that, like the sacrifices his parents would have made.
Yeah.
You know, all of that shit that we don't see. So it's easy for Malmaninga and Australians to lay the blame or lay a blame or to point fingers at Luai and Crichton.
Yeah.
But that totally erases his childhood and the sacrifices that mom and dad would have made, and which would have been indented in his, you know, indented, is that a word? Would have been like imprinted.
Embedded.
Oh, that's a better word, right? In his mind, and growing up, and you see people who sacrifice for you. You know, you appreciate that his parents kept him alive, kept him happy in that, and not for any money back. You know what I mean? So parents who sacrifice everything for their kids, they sacrifice their time, their income, you know, out of love, because there's no monetary benefit that you're going to get for caring for a 6-month-old. You know what I mean? So I think it's that, like, that's the what's been embedded. And people can blame Luai and blame Crichton or whatever, but there's this whole childhood that this guy was raising. You know, there's this whole life that he would have seen and experienced, the love of his parents, the love of his family. And it's ridiculous to reduce this full-grown man to this year, like his whole life, and to suggest that he's so dumb that he's going to be controlled by Luai and controlled by Crichton is pathetic. You know, this is a full-on man with history and experiences and family, you know, and to just reduce it to, oh, it must have been Luai and it must have been Crichton's influence is bullshit. Yeah. You know, this dude has a soul, and he would have seen the sacrifices that his parents made and appreciated that they never looked at him as a piece of finance. How can I get some return on it? You know, he would have experienced that people sacrificed for him out of love. And then this decision would have been like that. I don't need to look at this as a financial decision. You know, I don't need to which country, in order for me to look for greatness, I don't need to look at where the money is. My parents saw greatness in me simply out of love, not out of how can we make money. So he would have learned how to make decisions based on just love. And remember, money is something that was brought to the Pacific. Like, we have always had this fire in us inherently. You know, we don't need money to find purpose in life. Money was brought to the Pacific. Like, we created our inventions, our languages, surfing, swimming, sailing, all of that was when there was no money. We have always had this soul burning within us before money. and money has been brought to dim it, to dim our purpose in life, to get us to be part of the matrix and part of this whole colonial system or whatever. So it's really nice to see some people step away from that shit and make a decision that's not based on money and what they brought, but make a decision based on love. It's really cool. And maybe he'll change his decision later, but it's really good to see someone step out of all of that mainstream pressure and adulation and conformity, all of these values that were imposed on us, and then they succeed by internalizing it. So we keep following what they want us to follow. It's awesome to see someone go, nah, I don't want to serve Palangi Australia. I want to serve these dark-skinned brown people over here. It's really cool. It's always cool every time we see that. And I just really think it's bullshit to suggest Mal Meninga to say, it was because of Luai and Crichton. Come on, bro. This is a man with a soul, a Samoan man who saw sacrifices by his parents, growing up, seeing them struggle, seeing them tired and still smiling, putting food on the table. This is a man with depth, bro, and a life. And to suggest that, he is led and controlled by Luai and Crichton is completely ignorant to this man and his whole journey. So good on him. Luai and Crichton wouldn't have to say shit. Polynesians, they make jokes. Bro,
that was my take.
Yeah, bro, you gonna come in?
Yeah,
nah.
So I don't know Mal said this, but there's been a lot of comments on the if you just go to the comment section about anything about him making that choice,
right,
and you look at the comments, all old white people saying, you shouldn't be able to play for State Origin now. No. You grew up in Australia. We raised you.
Yes. Bro. Yeah, we provided the opportunity for you. That's what they always say. And I saw Manu Tuilangi. They always said about Manu Tuilangi. If it wasn't for England, you wouldn't have made it. Even though Alessandro Tuilangi is the top rugby player, top professional, one player of the year, how many times try scorer of the year, represented Manu Samoa. Henry Tuilangi, same, is in a lot of people's greatest ever 15s. There's Andy, there's Vavai, all the brothers, Freddie. Every single person became a professional rugby player, top echelon, and an international rugby player. Manu would have been the same regardless as well. They always say, if it wasn't for us. And again, it's so fucking typical of them to say, if it wasn't for us. The Australia Rugby Union never picked him up and dropped him off at trainings. Never fed him after trainings. Never made sure he had clothes and a house to live in. Never made sure electricity was paid. All these sacrifices, washed his boots, washed his underwear, all these sacrifices that his Samoan parents and Filipino, and there was another one.
It's Filipino-Australian.
Right. So all these sacrifices that his parents made, including the Samoan parent, his mother, I think, is a Taufua.
Yep.
All of the sacrifices these parents made, and they say, if it wasn't for us on, being coaching you, that's it. Just half an hour a day. That's all they fucking reduce it to. They always champion themselves. And it's all part of fucking trying to control the psychology of the brown athlete. And this is it. This is awesome that he's broke away. He's seen it's all bullshit. And again, they're just going to keep on trying to do it because it's the only way they can control someone, is to internalize their values and their perceptions and make you follow their beliefs, make you follow what they like. And it's awesome whenever we see this. And this is the threat, though. This is why it's so dangerous, is when one person goes, one person has to have the audacity to step away. Someone else will follow, and another person will follow. And again, but this will gradually filter because now I don't want to serve white Australia. I want to serve brown Samoa. Now that psychology is going to start growing elsewhere. Yeah. Prime ministers start going, you know what? Fuck you, New Zealand. Pay up with the mana wanui in that's been sunken. I want to serve my Samoan people. You owe us millions that you haven't paid. Fucking pay up. That psychology, I want to serve brown Samoa and not white Australia or white New Zealand. That will come from this. That's the flow and effect. And I know people, that's just rugby league. Yeah, I understand, but this is what they're scared of.
Sports is powerful, man.
It's powerful because you never know where the revolution will come from, where the change in psyche will come from.